cooling the camera down because it's hot. It's not really.
Everybody's
Did you enjoy a pub in the park?
It was lovely, thank you. Yes, the weather was lovely over the weekend.
It was a wicked weekend, wasn't it?
It was a very, very good weekend. Apart from today's a little bit. Today being Thursday, it's a bit rainy. Is it going to rain on Thursday?
It's rainy all week. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
absolutely.
Would you like to pop us in? Popcorn Pundits.
Podcast.
Week.
30.
It's 30.
30
episodes.
30 episodes. That's bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if anyone's listened to all 30.
I bet Lawrence has. Lawrence, if
And
you've
Leo.
And Leo, obviously.
Oh, and I have.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
that's-
have.
That's 3.
And
That's
me.
4 of us.
Five.
It's 5 of us.
Blimey, that's
Good lord.
awesome. There we go.
Double figures, then.
So what would people be listening to if they had listened to all 30?
They would be listening to fantastic reviews of a mixture of movies from across the genres.
So
That's what they'd
we
be
go to the
listening
cinema a lot, don't we?
We go to the cinema an awful lot.
We have been to see probably about 45 films, I think, since we
Easily
started
this year.
Yeah, this calendar year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, so we go to cinema and we give you our honest reviews.
We do.
James is the guru of movies and I am the newbie to this. And James also sets me a nice piece of homework to do every week.
Yeah, what I like to do is I like to highlight certain films that people wouldn't necessarily watch, or they just flip past it through some sort of streaming platform. And I would think sometimes these movies are worth a look.
Well, I would say in recent weeks, you've recommended films that I've never heard of. And actually, when I've seen a bit about the film, I've been really shocked that I didn't know anything about it.
Isn't that
And
weird?
Yeah, and some of them I've really enjoyed, and some of them I haven't enjoyed quite so much. But I mean, that's the whole point of movie, isn't it? That everyone has a slightly different opinion. And then, once every few weeks, Lawrence gives us a proper review about them.
Right, exactly. So we're encouraging you to get involved if you can when you're listening to the Popcorn Pundits. Why don't you give us your reviews? Why don't you let us know what you thought of the Popcorn Pundits generally? Or perhaps you'd like to send us a small review of a film that perhaps we have reviewed also.
Absolutely. You can send us a video. You can send us a video, or you can send us an audio note, or you can send us a text message, and we'll do our best to read it out. Although 2/3 of us are seriously dyslexic.
2/3 of us are definitely. Or you could write it on a brick and throw it through Peter's window.
Brilliant.
Could do.
Someone did that a few weeks ago. It's quite a short review.
So
but
we
It
are
was.
encouraging people to go out to the cinema, support their local cinemas.
We are indeed.
You haven't actually said who you are either.
I'm James Michael Mulcrum.
We could carry that song on. That was actually quite
It
good.
was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would sound like a sea shanty.
You're going to introduce everyone like that now, please,
Dee-dee-dee.
James.
And who are you?
I'm Peter Ungar. I couldn't do that more deadpan. That's my plan.
Nikki.
Mickey, there you go. Mickey, Peter and James are holding your sweaty little palm and dragging you through the cinema foyer.
So how do we begin this weekly podcast, James Michael Mulcrum?
I'll tell you. We start off with a top 10 of the UK film releases, and then we're going to do a couple of reviews of said films in our top 10, and then you're going to let us know what you thought about your homework that we gave you.
I will.
Would you like to give us your synopsis of the top 10?
You dropped the word synopsis in for absolutely
For
no reason.
no reason. As I was
reason
halfway through that
whatsoever.
word, I thought, that's not really relevant.
Because I already
You do
think we
pull me
use
up.
that word a bit too much.
Almost
I know
too
it's
much.
difficult to come up with an alternative. If you could write in and send us some alternatives to the word synopsis, that'd be really great.
Or a synopsis of the word synopsis.
Excellent. Number 10 is Chimera,
Yes. No idea what that is.
That's that Italian one.
Oh,
which
yes.
we had a slight argument about the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Kung Fu Panda 4, which is now it's streaming now, so I might actually watch that at home this week.
Sunday afternoon,
Are
isn't
you
it?
going to watch all the other ones first?
Probably not.
Okay.
Number 8 is 42nd Street, the musical.
I
James.
didn't even know
What's-
that had been released.
So we should probably find out why that's been released. I'm presuming it's an anniversary of some type. I was
think so.
expecting you to scream out, "That's not a movie."
I
well,
was as well.
it's a musical. There's a difference between a musical and a concert. Sound of Music, that's a music. That's a film.
Yeah,
The hills are alive.
so then why is Back to Black not?
Because I didn't like it.
Number 7, Back to Black.
Didn't like it.
Oh, Nikki, I've just got to go and do something. Could you read out number 6 for me, please?
No, James can though.
I can tell you it was the distributor called DJ.
Okay. Guru Vajurabala Nadaila.
Do you know what? I'll
That's-
take that.
I'll take
I
it
lost
too.
it 2/3 of the way through, but that's number 6.
It is an Indian Millennium language comedy drama. A young man faces a web of unforeseen bad luck before marrying a woman who hates him. It's most men, isn't it?
Bad luck continues then, doesn't it?
And he suffers her wrath over it.
Wow.
Number 5, Challengers.
Sounds like the first film.
We saw that at week 26.
Number 4, The Strangers, Chapter 1.
Which we are reviewing this evening.
We are. Number 3, The Fall Guy. I reviewed last week, and James has now seen it, and he would like to give us his version of that review.
I'm just going to give you my opinion about it, not even a review.
Okay, number 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Which you watched and you reviewed on week?
29, I believe.
Was it last week?
It was last week, yeah.
I might as well go home.
And it's only because we're slick this week, Nikki.
Oh, all right.
So when we're not slick, that's when you normally chip in the touch. And
You didn't get out.
I accidentally went to see If, which is this week's number 1.
How
Did you now?
accidentally go and see it?
Literally tripped over, fell in the cinema.
That's been
That's
said
all
before
your
by
fault.
so many politicians.
Unfortunately, they weren't at cinemas, though.
Well, it all depends what sort of cinema it was.
There you go. That's this week's top 10 as of the 20th of May 2024.
There you are. So if you've seen any of these films, particularly films that we have not seen, why don't you let us know what you thought about the films?
Especially Guru Vanjoy Rambala Nadil.
I will give you a special badge if you watch it and review it and send it in. I'll make a special badge
However,
for
they
you.
have to do a voice note to send it in.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So there we go.
Right,
That's
indeed.
your review. That's your top 10 countdown in the UK cinema releases of this week.
So we should probably say that we have had a dearth. We've had a glut of awesome films over the last 30 weeks of doing this.
Easily.
And we have been a little bit concerned about this mid-May period of the films that have been released.
It's not quite a bubble bursting, but it's definitely depleting slightly.
Yes, it kind of felt
It's
like...
going to
We didn't have the selection to go and see and review, so we were one-hit wonders this week, and so there we go. So what did we go and see this week?
Well, you and I went to see The Strangers Chapter 1.
Yes.
I went to see Fall Guy, and then you went to see If.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, so why don't we get Fall Guy out of the way first, because you've reviewed it already.
Let's do this.
We've reviewed it already.
Yeah.
So, Nikki McNicky,
Yes.
would you like to let the viewers know, or perhaps Pete, between the two of you, because you reviewed it, the pair of you, what was your kind of review, just like in 2 sentences of what Fall Guy was, and your point system.
So I thought it was pretty decent. I thought the plot was pretty good. I thought Ryan Gosling was sublimely beautiful. I thought Emily Blunt was pretty decent in it. I thought the plot fell a little bit short, but I, on the whole, really enjoyed it, and I gave it a big fat 7.9.
Is that right?
That's correct.
That's correct. I went to see it, and armed with the knowledge that it was directed by the same director that directed Bullet Train.
Yes.
Now,
because I told you that.
yes,
And
but
then
it's also on the poster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you should have known that.
exactly.
Yes.
Is that it? Is it? Yeah, is that right? Anyway, when Bullet Train was first released, before I'd watched it, knowing very well that it was directed by a stuntman, Brad Pitt's previous stuntman, I thought to myself, this is just purely going to be a stuntman's wankathon, basically.
yeah.
And it was basically going to be stuntmen hitting each other in the head with bottles, throwing each other out of windows, and doing all sorts of stunty sort of things, like the stunts that they are.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly. And I was pleasantly surprised that Bullet Train was incredibly funny, fast-paced, the music selection was incredible, and just, the whole thing was just beautifully tied up in a great big bow. And I thought, that is almost a perfect action comedy movie. On a train from one end to the other. Brilliant. Then I hear that they're making Fall Guy, same director, and I thought to myself, this is brilliant. Fall Guy was a stuntman, surprisingly enough, and they've got Emily Blunt, who's very good in her action-esque sort of movies. And you've got Ryan Gosling, and he's quite good with his abs out and that sort of thing. It's Ryan Gosling, isn't it? It's not Ryan. It's not the other Ryan, is
No,
it?
it's not the other Ryan.
You're good. I'm just enjoying the fact that you're starting to smoke, but you've got this beautiful grin on your face. I've not seen this before.
He's
This
going
is
around
quite.
the houses
This
for
is
the
quite
review.
exciting. Yeah.
So it's obviously a homage to the late 1980s to television series Fall Guy with Lee Majors and so on and so forth. And there are one or two golden moments in this movie. For instance, when Ryan Gosling is pushing the other fellow out of the way, and he hears this. And for those of you who have not watched the $6 Million Man in the 1970s, you wouldn't understand that noise is really, really important because it's basically Lee Majors using his bionic arm, and he's a fantastic homage, really good Easter egg. Well done, you.
Yeah. Is that it?
That was it.
No, it wasn't.
Seriously. I tell you what it was. I tell you what really was riling me up was several different things. Number one is Emily Blunt's character was as wet as a soggy piece of bread. There was just nothing going on with Emily Blunt's character at all. I thought it was actually quite an insult to her and her acting ability. Ryan Gosling, I thought he was okay, but he was better than Barbie, quite frankly. There was more layers to his personality than in Barbie. I felt that the stunt upon stunt was so overly sort of self-gratifying. I just got to the point where I just turned off from the film completely, and I just wanted it to end sooner than it should have been. And I'm going to give it a 4.8.
Oof.
I'm so angry about it.
So is that it, review done, or can we compare it to The Killer? Because I think that's quite a fair comparison.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's not.
Okay. Brilliant. We'll move on then, shall we?
No, it's not. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because The Killer had a killer of a soundtrack. Had the Smiths all the way through it. It
didn't have a plot though.
Oh, it did to a certain extent. Bigger plot than that was written on the back of the cigarette packet that was in Fall Guy, to be quite honest with you. And the pace of it was so much more respectful, I felt. Whereas I felt that the Fall Guy pace was so haphazard and just not... If it was haphazard and funny and clever, I would have went, yeah, I'm in. You've got my money, let's go for it. Let's eat some popcorn. But no, it didn't work.
Okay,
Naughty.
well, this is one of those wonderful moments where we are going to agree to disagree. I thought it was a perfectly passable, nothing more than that, waste of good.
I'm never going to watch it again.
I don't believe you.
I'm never going to watch it again. And I've actually bought Bullet Train as a digital download, and I watch that every couple of months when I've got a gap in the market.
I do agree that Bullet Train is significantly better than this. 100%.
It's brought the score down to 6.3.
Yeah. Well, that's and what did IMDb give it?
I don't know actually.
Anyway, so sorry to be a bit of a downer on that.
No, it's absolutely fine. I'm surprised you disliked it that much.
I did.
Because there is a plot. It's not the greatest plot in the world, but I thought that the twist was quite... plot twist was quite clever. How they got him out there. I thought it was quite
IMDb
smart.
7.3.
Right.
I think maybe he wasn't 100% better.
What do we do next? If or Strangers?
Oh, let's do The Strangers, Chapter 1.
Let's continue then, shall we?
Shall we?
Yes.
So it's an hour and 30 minutes long to start with.
It is.
We'll come back to that later on. I'm going to circle that. It's directed by a guy called Rennie Harlin.
It is.
Do you want to know a fact, Nikki?
Yeah, you're probably taking me out of my job today, aren't you?
So what else has he directed?
He has directed many things. He's a director and a writer. He's Finnish.
He directed Cliffhanger, which is a Sylvester Stallone movie from I think about 1990 or something.
John Lithgow
and
in it.
Driven.
Yeah, and he's allegedly the biggest Finnish film director of all time. And I think that suggests that Finland really need a film school, I think, to be honest with
you. He also produced Cutthroat Island.
Yeah, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this film stars Madeleine Pesch, who I believe was in Riverdale. I've never actually seen it, but apparently she is. And Ryan Bone, which I wanted you to read out because I thought you'd say Brown. But anyway, and
I was actually pronouncing it Brown when I was practicing.
Yeah.
Brown without the R.
And he's famous for starring in Home and Away, allegedly. So there we go.
Oh, yeah!
Do you recognise him?
I do now! Oh my god!
So,
Right,
I think, the way I look at it, the film starts off really strong. Because I wasn't expecting a lot from this film, to be quite honest with you. It starts off really... I think just the opening scene, and even the camera angles and everything else, and even the text, starts off nice and strong in the forest, featuring the suited man.
Yeah, so absolutely. And he's basically running through the woods.
In a frenzied sort of way, with the masked villains.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then, so basically, then we cut to the two main characters of this film, who are New York. They're a
Jeff.
a New York cool hip couple who are basically driving across America for.
She's going for a job interview, isn't she?
She's going for a job interview, yeah. So basically, it starts off as a road trip type movie, and they have to take a detour to a small little hamlet called Venus in Oregon, and
well, the reason why they go there is because
they're hungry.
Well, he's starving. And what I love initially, you initially get the first thing. He said the fact that he's quite impatient initially, and he's also needs an inhaler. These two things are very important, I think.
Yes.
He's
a bit of a knobhead, isn't he? He's a bit of a.
I think they all are.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so they take this detour, and they basically decide to go into this American diner
called Venus.
Yeah, and they and all of the other patrons of said cafe are
hostile.
They're really unpleasant people. They give them evils, and they're sarcastic about when they're ordering food and stuff.
And they're very opinionated about their religious beliefs.
Yeah,
also,
and Jeff is a bit bitey back in return, isn't he?
I felt that Jeff was. He was sort of really suspicious and really angry about everybody continuously at the start of this film, and then he flipped. His personality flips for no reason at all. I felt.
So they're under dubious circumstances. Their car breaks down when they go to go to restart it.
Yes, like every decent horror movie, outside the cafe.
And their only option is to wait for the guy that owns the local garage to get a part for their car the following morning.
Alternator.
It was an alternator. Did you write that down?
No, I remembered it.
And there is a local cabin in the middle of the woods, which is owned by an old guy. It's the only option for them. They have to stay there for the night and wait for the alternator to be fixed.
That's right. It's an Airbnb. It's the only Airbnb in the area, and I think apparently the hotel has been refurbed, so they have to use this Airbnb.
Yeah. And en route to said Airbnb, they come across two weird churchy boys.
They do indeed.
And then when they get to the log cabin, they meet up with another weird teenager who keeps knocking on the door and asking if Tamara's there.
And she's not there.
She's not there.
She's
Anytime
not there.
she knocks.
No, exactly.
And then it gets to the evening, and then the shenanigans begin.
Well, he realises that his inhaler is still in the car.
Yes.
So he decides, in his wisdom, to jump on a motorbike that doesn't belong to him.
Yeah.
And tootle into town and find an inhaler in car.
Yeah.
Only to be found by the mechanic, who's even more unfriendly in the evening, in the darkness of the night.
Yes.
And even more a little bit scary.
He had one of those nut twisty things.
He did, yes, exactly. Just walking around with one of an evening.
Postured it threateningly.
He did, exactly. Oh, you could have been a burglar.
Grr.
Anyway, so
Gloucester.
and so during this time, however, that you've got like a dual story going on. He's obviously looking for his inhaler, and he's looking for food, isn't he? Because she said she's hungry.
Yes.
During at the same time, however, Maya stays in cabin, and a few more knocks on doors. She starts freaking out a little bit, and in true Strangers form, because bearing in mind this is the third or fourth instalment of the Strangers.
Yeah, I was going to come to this later on because I didn't have any clue about that.
So it's kind of the Strangers have kind of created their own horror genre, which is pretty much the idea that you're in a Airbnb or a cabin in the woods, and you have no idea that the baddies are walking in and out behind you continuously, and they're always just in the camera frame. They're always just slightly in the darkness, but unbeknownst to the main characters, they're there. And what they're trying to do is, obviously, the director and the producer of the film, they're trying to do this whole "he's behind you" scenario through the whole, and that is really that one trick pony all the way through the film.
And it does have an effect. I mean, I came out and I basically said to you,
"He's behind you."
That was really very good. I was really stressed the whole way through it.
I could see that,
and it was like really angsty, and it was just like the whole time, as you said. And there's one scene where she's playing on the piano, and you get like a mirror on the wall above the piano, and you see one of the characters.
And if only she looked up, if she looked up in that mirror, she would have pooped herself.
She would have pooped herself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, however, not only was she still walking, but bearing in mind she's terrified at this point. She's not. She's upset and she's worried. The boyfriend is not in the cabin, and B, somebody's knocking on the door, and she hears somebody outside singing the nursery rhyme. At that point, I would have put my trousers on.
Yeah, you probably would.
She was walking around just with a shirt on,
and
then she gets a great big J out and decides to have a great big smoke, and you think to yourself, I'm sorry, but you're slightly paranoid already.
Yeah,
I've heard that this drug makes you more paranoid.
I've heard a rumour.
Yes, exactly, and apparently it also makes you a little bit disorganised and so on and so forth. So she gets completely stoned, plays the piano, and then has a shower.
Yes.
Okay, and while this is all going on, masked people are looking at her, literally 2 feet away from her, going, she hasn't even noticed I'm here yet.
Yeah.
That's how they talk.
That's how a man with a bag on his head would talk. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So it is really a step-by-step cliche of the first 2 or 3 Strangers movies, where it's exactly the same storyline.
And it's quite iconic, quite ironic rather, they call it Chapter 1.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes. However, it's also known as Strangers 3.
To who?
In the circuit. Because apparently this is the 3rd one in the trilogy.
How bloody bizarre.
Yes, exactly.
Right, so then we get into the horror bit, yeah? We might as well get through the...
Get to the horror bit.
Let's get through the synopsis of this, shall we? Yeah.
So he's on a motorbike.
Yeah.
She's freaking out. She suddenly realises that there is something definitely in the room, because somebody pops up with a great big smiley face and goes, hello!
Yeah.
And she freaks out and she hides herself in the room. She's freaking out completely.
Until
he
comes back and says,
yes,
oh, I think it's all right.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, okay then.
Exactly. and yet his suspicion goes from super, super paranoid to, oh, it's all right, it's fine. And then he convinces her that the face that she sees is a painting on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, if I said that to my other half, I would get smacked. Don't gaslight me. Sort yourself out.
Yeah.
Not that Sophie would hit me like
I
that.
was going to say that's the only thing she'd slap you for.
Anyway, so moving on.
Yes.
So what happens next?
Well, then they decide to eat said meal. Because it's all okay, apparently.
Yeah.
It's all okay. So they decide to eat said meal. He got burgers from the local burger joint. They're eating meal, blah, blah, blah. And apparently he's a really messy eater. And
But he is a really messy eater.
Incredibly messy.
It's like the messiest eater I've ever seen.
It was really annoying me how messy he was, to the point where you knew for a fact that there was some sort of member of staff in the film production company was paid to paint his face with ketchup.
Yeah, but did it also
meat.
not annoy you, the fact that his burger never went down?
No.
Like he kept taking
It was a
massive
never-ending
mouthful
burger.
after massive mouthful.
Yes,
and
never-ending
the burger
burger.
just still stayed
Sounds
complete.
Perfect.
I think he bought it from Crispin.
The never-ending burger.
So then it turns out that his ketchup isn't falling on the floor. It's actually blood coming from a dead pheasant that's been nailed to the ceiling, that's dripping blood all over their dining room table.
Yes.
They freak at that point, and all hell breaks loose. The strangers turn up, and they're just being chased all around the woods. They chase around. They're hiding underneath the floorboards. They're hiding in cabins, and these people who live in this area, they know there's a cabin there. They know that there's something underneath the stair. They know that there's somebody underneath the. There's a gap underneath the stairway. So they haven't got a chance to get out, quite frankly.
No. So how did this movie make you feel, James?
Right. there was no need for it to make this movie. You should have just watched the Liv Tyler version of it from 2018, quite frankly.
So we came out of the cinema, and you broke the news to me that this film had been made before.
Yes.
And I was already quite concerned about how you were going to rate this film, because it doesn't have the hugest amount of content. And as a relative newbie to this kind of the horror genre,
Yes.
I found it quite empty, and we'd basically seen all of the good stuff
In the trailer.
In the trailer, and that actually watching the whole film compared to the trailer didn't actually add anything apart from hatred towards Jeff. I think that's the only thing that I gained by watching.
And her pumped up lips.
She wasn't okay. Okay, so there was the burger, which never shrunk. There was, you pointed out her lips, which basically changed shape throughout the movie. You felt
continuously. Her fillers just kept getting pumped up or deflated.
There was
in between scenes.
There was an awful continuity issue when she was wearing shoes, not wearing shoes, wearing shoes.
And at one point, one of the baddies had a knife in one hand. They turn around and the knife is in the other hand. So somebody's doing a job.
Somebody
and not getting paid.
shouldn't have got paid.
Exactly.
So positives. I mean, this is a Lionsgate production, and I thought the actual cinematography and I thought the landscapes and everything in it were really quite beautiful. Actually, I thought the filming of it was really quite good. I found the stress aspect of it really stressful. So I'd suggest that kind of ticked a box, especially if you're not a horror aficionado as you are, and if you haven't seen chapters 1, 2, and 3 before chapter 1.
Yeah. You didn't need to watch any of the other films. In fact, you didn't need to watch these films, quite frankly. And and yet again, who is rating these films? This is not an R-rated movie, okay? And do you know why
So this is a 15 in the UK.
Yeah, but R-rated traditionally for me should be almost X-rated. That's how I look at it. An R-rated movie should be.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of drug use. There's no sex, and quite frankly, the killing is so lame. The whole stabby thing. There's nothing going on with it in the slightest. I mean, Scream's got more.
Yeah. But it is rated 15 in the UK, which I think is probably the right rating for it over here. I'm not quite sure what website you got your rating from, but it's obviously American.
IMDb. To sum it all off, though, the tagline to me sums up the reason. The tagline to me sums up the question has been said in the boardroom before the film was made.
Just watch the Liv Tyler one. Was that
It
the
just says,
tagline?
They didn't need a reason. They didn't need a reason to make this movie. There was no reason to make this movie at all.
Actually, I thought their reason was the best bit of the film.
Because you're there.
Well, I wasn't going to say that because that was like the best bit of the film, and you've just ruined it now.
What
And that's all I've got to say good about that film. Oh, actually, there was one thing I wanted to go back to, wasn't there? I said that I was going to circle 1.5 hours.
Yes.
That's one of the longest 1.5 hours I've ever spent in my entire life.
Yeah.
It just went on forever.
You were fidgeting a lot.
And I ate popcorn. I'm so sorry.
I didn't know the popcorn was fine.
Was that all right? Because I could hear it crunching.
Loud. No, you could hear it in your head.
Nice distraction.
I gave it a 4.0.
Jesus. I was going to give it a 4.5, but I'm going to give it a 4.0 as well. I can't do higher than you.
Yeah, it was...
so it's a 4 then.
That's a 4, and on
4 out of 10.
IMDb it's 5.1.
Doesn't deserve it.
Did you recognise the gentleman who played Sheriff Rotter?
No.
His name's Richard Brake, and he is known for Kingsman: The Secret Service. He plays the interrogator, and in Hannibal Rising he plays Dortlich.
Hannibal Rising wasn't that bad, actually. For a TV movie.
Would you like some facts, or are we moving
Yes,
on?
please.
So it's the third film of the. It's the third film of the series and the first film of a new trilogy.
That's so confusing.
All films
And there's no need for it.
No, and all films of the trilogy will be directed by Rennie Harlan.
Oh.
Well done, Rennie.
According to...
Yeah, for getting a 3-film contract, that was a bloody miracle.
According to Froy someone, filming of all 3 films took place in autumn of 2022 over a 52-day shoot. So the other 2 have already been filmed.
What other content can you add to it?
So the title suggests that it may be a prequel to the 2008 original, but it isn't.
Chapter Naught.
The Strangers Chapter 1 is actually the start of a new trilogy with 2 subsequent chapters on the way.
Right.
It's a new trilogy only inspired by Bertino's original.
Yeah, inspired. So anyway, can we move on, please?
Please, yes, we can.
Would you like to talk to me about a giant purple furry animal?
Before we do,
Called
sorry
Blue.
for my loud "oh yeah" when I recognised the man from Home and Away, because I think I leant forward into the mic and just screamed "oh yeah."
Oh yeah.
Well, you obviously really liked
I
him.
got excited. No, I just knew I recognised him from somewhere, and it was annoying me.
Well, I hope he hears that, because that's probably the most excited anyone's going to get about watching him in anything ever after that. I thought it was absolutely awful. So I'm going to do a real briefie on If, because I would like you to see it, and I'd like you to talk about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a film with Ryan Reynolds in it,
Okay.
and I don't think Ryan Reynolds could do much wrong, to be totally honest with you.
Directed by Emily Blunt's husband,
Yeah.
And how do you say his name?
John
And his last name?
Blunt,
It's Krasinski.
Krasinski, yeah,
Krasinski.
absolutely.
which he also directed Quiet Place.
John Blunt. Sorry, that made me chuckle.
So you would know him from the US version of The Office,
Yes.
is where you'd know him
Yeah, I
from.
watched it.
And he... Have you not?
I made a decision not to watch it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, he plays the father of a young girl called Bee. Sorry, not a young girl. She's a 12-year-old girl. She makes it very clear in the film that she's 12. Because she's kind of on the brink
Yes.
of childhood.
And being annoying.
And post-childhood, yeah, the teenage hell years. So I kind of came out feeling that this was a beautiful mashup of Monsters, Inc. and The Sixth Sense.
Oh really?
It's kind of like a really beautiful balance of these two films. And there was a really weird thing, okay, because we went to see The Strangers Chapter 1 last
We
night,
did.
and I went to see If this morning.
Right.
If stars a character called Blossom who's wearing the same mask as one of the evil people in The
Yes, I think I've
Strangers
seen it in the trailer.
Chapter 1. And she came on and went, "No, you can't do that!"
It's a cameo.
It was, honestly, I was just like, no.
There's no need for that.
Anyway, so in short, this film is about a girl who goes through a very sad and traumatic family event at the beginning of the movie. And after that, it kind of transpires that she can see other people's ifs, their imaginary
I
friends.
see dead people type thing.
Exactly right. Yeah. See, there we go. You
I'm
see
with
where
you.
I'm coming from.
I see.
And these are the ifs of children who have grown up.
Yeah.
And no longer believe in their imaginary friends, so they can no longer see them.
Okay.
And basically, she gets she gets employed by Ryan Reynolds' character
Right.
to help either rehouse these ifs that no longer have a human child to look after them,
Yeah.
or later on in the movie to reintroduce them
Or
to
kill
their
them.
original children.
Right.
Yeah, in the woods, in the log cabin. And that is basically the film.
Please tell me the end is she realises that Ryan Reynolds is really dead. And that's the reason why he could see the if characters as well.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what happens. Anyway, so Ryan Reynolds has, without doubt, pulled out the charm potion because
Has he
has.
eaten lots of Disney juice?
Oh, he's just got everybody doing voiceovers.
Of course he
it's,
has.
It's absolutely brilliant. So Steve Carell plays Blue, the purple, big, fluffy monster.
Right.
And I must admit, it took me probably 15-20 minutes to place his voice on
But
him.
he's usually
Gru.
Gru, isn't he? Yes, he's got very distinctive.
And so there are certain tones that he does which are very, very similar to Gru,
Okay.
but it took me a good while to actually kind of place him as the actor that kind of does that. But Emily Blunt is in this. George Clooney is in this.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper is in this. Blake Lively is in this. Amy Schumer's in this. And your favourite Brad Pitt is in
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, there we go.
Did he go, hey dude?
And Vince Vaughn was going to be in it as well.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he recorded his lines as the.
They got cut.
Yeah, they did. They were cut due to post-production changes on the movie.
So overall, it's quite a somber film. It's quite a mature subject for such a kind of film to be kind of based on, because basically the main character Bee's mum has cancer and passes away, and it does create a real emotional overtone for the film.
Yeah, so I can imagine it's got it's a children's not a children, but it's a young person's reflection on mortality.
100%.
But it's looked through the eyes of Disney and how they would help the Disney children deal with it.
And it is a little shortsy, and it is tugging on heartstrings. What's the best day to go and see this film?
It's got to be a Sunday, surely.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's a Tuesday morning, because I woke up this morning in a foul mood for no reason.
Did you?
I had a wonderful weekend.
That's unlike you.
It is really unlike me, and the tonic for that is this film. I have to say,
Did it put a skip in his step?
It made me quite emotional when I was watching it,
yeah.
and it is emotional, and it does remind us as grown-ups that sometimes it's probably a good thing to look back and remember those childhood ifs that we had.
Did you have an if?
I had an if when I was a kid, and mine was like when I was on the school bus on the way to school, because I used to get really bored.
Yeah.
So my if was a gymnast that used to swing from trees to trees and flip on walls, and I used to watch him doing that while I was driving on the bus to school in the morning.
You were driving the bus?
Yeah.
You know me, the road.
I've always been entrepreneurial.
You're very mature. Come on, lads, we're going to school.
But yeah, so there we go.
20 quid.
So it is. I'm looking forward to see what you think of it.
Okay, I will do.
And I'm kind of wondering whether this was the perfect storm of movie and moment in my life, because I'm going to score this a 7.0.
Oh, nice.
And I loved it.
Good.
Absolutely loved it.
Okay then.
6.8 on IMDb.
I'm definitely going to watch it. In fact, I'm going to make an effort to watch it, and I think I'm doing a stock take on Sunday, so I'll probably watch it either in the morning or in the afternoon, just to cheer myself up after the stock take.
It's really lovely.
Good. Okay.
And yeah, Ryan
Thanks,
Reynolds,
Peter.
I've got to say, is brilliant in it again.
Wow, he's brilliant in everything at the moment. I'm watching that football thing at the moment. I love it. I love it. Don't love football, but I love it. Right. So that's if.
That's if.
That's if. That is the Stranger Things chapter 1.
Yeah, that was our cinema
Stranger
viewing.
Things.
Strangers. The
Are we not
Strangers.
having facts about if? Are we just
Yes, please.
Yeah,
completely?
That's what I was waiting for
Are we
you.
completely cutting me out of this podcast this week?
She's slow this week, isn't she?
Very
Honestly.
thin-skinned this
Yeah.
week. Carry on.
Not just this week. So yes, the title is called If, but it doesn't mean the word if. It's an abbreviation of the term imaginary friend. God. It is John Krasinski's first non-horror directorial effort since The Hollers of 2016. It's Bradley Cooper's first time voice acting in a feature-length film outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy
Okay, I was about to say, hang on a minute. Yeah.
series. Let me finish.
Right.
And it's Steve Carell's first voice acting performance in a film outside of the Despicable Me franchise since Horton Hears a Who, which was 2008, so released 16 years prior to this film.
He's very good in it.
He's very good in
They're
everything.
all very good.
He's just very good in it.
They're all.
And obviously, John Krasinski and Steve Carell have worked together before in 2005 in The Office.
In The Office, yeah.
Which I haven't
Perfect.
seen.
So there we go.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my
do you know
pleasure.
what? You've enthused me, because I was feeling a little bit like, the cinema's been a little bit disappointing for me recently,
Yeah,
and so you are injecting a little bit of inside me.
yeah.
So thanks for that.
There we go. You're absolutely welcome.
Moving on, please.
Okay, so
I'm full up now. Over to you, Peter, for your homework.
so James set me
Oh yes,
a film.
I suddenly remembered what I said to you.
Oh, this is okay.
Okay.
So, he sent me a film called Brian and Charles, and
Yes.
earlier on I said that you have recommended recently films that I've never heard of, and this is one of those.
Yeah.
And so it stars David Earl, who plays a character called Brian, And he also plays Brian in Afterlife. So for any of you who are not sure who that is, he's the kind of slightly weird, trampy one who comes into the newspaper office and tells really inappropriate jokes and has a go at the women in the office.
His
and
bloopers are absolutely to die for.
They are, absolutely. And so he looks very much like that in this film. So the film...
He hasn't got many looks.
No. So,
I think he's even wearing the same hat.
So this is directed by Jim Archer, and I've written DYK next to it. Do you know anything about Jim
Not at
Archer
all.
or anything? Okay,
No.
because there's no kind of like anything real kind of...
No, I was looking, I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, there's nothing really to talk about on that. It's filmed as a fake documentary, and we kind of... we're
It's based in England, isn't it?
in North Wales, actually.
Oh, that big a pun.
Yes.
Sorry out there.
It's
in
based
North Wales land.
Rural Wales.
That's right.
And the kind of scene opens with Brian, and he's this weird, quirky introvert who's a bit of an inventor, and he makes stupid stuff. So basically, you see quite a lot of his inventions. One of his most famous inventions was a pinecone bag, where he basically takes a bag and some pine cones, and he glues said pine cones onto the bag and makes a pinecone bag.
Exactly.
Amazing.
It looks good and smells good. There we go.
And everything you put in it smells of pine cones.
And
Exactly.
good for the environment.
Exactly. And then he made another a special spatula which spins round. It's like an electric whisk, which has got a spatula on the end of it for making scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
I mean, he finds these problems in the world
And fixes them
and he
with beautiful
fixes
little
them.
inventions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, so he's obviously a very well-loved person in the community. He goes to the local shop, and the shopkeeper basically he picks out 2 chocolate dib-dab, I've forgotten what they're called, lucky dipstick things.
Yeah.
And one of them's open, and she goes, "Oh, you can have that one, Brian."
Yeah.
And then Brian goes to pay for the other one with £1, and he doesn't have £1. So she goes, "Just take it, Brian.
Yeah.
You can pay me later, or just have it. It's absolutely fine." He's clearly loved and revered, and they obviously feel a little bit sorry for him because he's a real loner of a character.
He kind of reminds me of, from an aesthetic point of view, do you remember the character from the Fast Show? And he comes out of his container and goes, "Today I'll be mostly wearing salmon."
Yes.
He looks and sort of has that sort of vibe about him.
Yeah, or the one of the farmers from Shameless.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he's that kind of look, but he's softer than that.
Very much
and
so.
he's just gentle. He doesn't hurt anyone.
He's livable
He's just
completely.
a bit mad.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he's clearly lonely. He plays darts on his own.
Yeah.
He lives on a diet of boiled cabbages, and
They go downwind of him.
yeah, and you basically just feel sorry for him,
Yeah.
and you're kind of sat there thinking, where's this film going to
No,
go?
yeah,
Where-
it feels
where's
a
this gonna
melancholy,
go?
doesn't it?
So where it goes is that he decides to build a robot,
Yeah.
and he builds a robot called Charles
I know.
that comes to life during a thunderstorm. And Charles is
It's not like Brian at all, is he?
no, he's not like Charles. He's basically
He's posh.
but and he's an infant
He
at
is.
the beginning,
Yeah.
and like what was that? The film where you got the 2 boys and what's her face in the shower when they create the beautiful
Little
woman.
Horrors.
No.
Weird Science.
Weird
That's
Science.
the one.
Kelly Brook.
It's nothing
Kelly
like weird.
Brook.
It's nothing like Weird Science.
No.
But basically, Charles learns like Kelly Brook, not Kelly Brook.
She's got eyebrows like Kelly Brook.
Okay, brilliant. So
It's a
basically,
visual thing.
Charles is learning and learning. So the first thing he does, he learns the words curtains, sky, roof, and Brian's just like, this is absolutely brilliant. And Charles is kind of developing and developing. So Charles is a lot not like a robot I've ever seen before.
No.
Charles is constructed from a pair of brown shoes,
That's right.
an old washing machine,
For his belly.
a mannequin hat,
Yeah.
a mannequin head,
Yeah.
not hat.
Yeah. But the monocle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a blue eye monocle. Yeah. And he's so clearly a man in a cardboard box with oversized clothes over the top of it.
But it doesn't matter.
It adds to it. It's just so innocent and so beautiful.
It is.
And you watch the relationship of these two just basically falling in love with each other.
Oh, they're best mates.
And they learn to play. And so Charles is like the best darts player on the planet. Which, like, you know, you can imagine if you're Brian, you're kind of be quite annoyed by that because you've been
Exactly.
playing darts
Just
forever.
make
All of a
somebody
sudden, Charles
actually-
comes along, and goes, bullseye.
Yeah, exactly.
And anyway. So they've got this fantastic relationship, but then all of a sudden Charles becomes a teenager in his development,
He does get
and the relationship starts getting a little bit fractious, and he's very teenager. He doesn't want to get out of bed, and he wants to see the world.
And all this happens in a few weeks, doesn't it?
Oh, it
Yeah,
develops
very quick.
so quick, absolutely. And then through the art of television, he discovers a place called Honolulu, and he becomes obsessed about travelling to Honolulu or whatever, however, on Halal. I want to go to Honolulu,
Yeah.
and he basically wants to go out and see the world. And Brian is such a xenophobe. He just doesn't want to. He just doesn't want to leave the confines of his little farmhouse and everything like that.
He's not a traveller, is he?
Oh no, he's just very content where he is and what he does. There is one thing that Brian would like in his life is a little bit of romance, and we meet Hazel, who is like this again, a very very similar type of character to Brian.
She's like Adrian out of Rocky.
Yeah, she is very much like that. And
like canaries.
she's got a very strong mother who doesn't really like let her out, won't let her speak to anybody, and is really controlling.
Yeah.
But there's this really awkward chemistry between Brian and Hazel, which
You're
is
right.
yeah, they just basically they can barely look at each other, but they clearly want to get to know each other better. And Charles kind of facilitates.
And you're
this
screaming at the screen,
relationship.
aren't you? Come on!
Yeah, exactly.
Go for a coffee.
It's a beautiful relationship. However, this wouldn't be a story unless there was a villain, and our villain is a character called Eddie, who's
Nobody likes Eddie.
Eddie is just a big fat bully.
He is.
Well, some people do like Eddie. His two daughters like Eddie, and his wife like Eddie.
Yeah.
And basically, he pushes Brian over, and the girls laugh about it. And he's just this really intimidating, awful character. And he goes into the shop where
We all know an Eddie, don't we?
we all know an Eddie or two, absolutely. He goes into the shop and he just creates mischief and destroys things. And Brian clears it all up because he's like the good boy that sorts it all out. And then we're heading towards Guy Fawkes Night,
Yeah.
and there's a building of a big bonfire, and we're just going to stop there.
Yeah.
There's a big coming together and an ending of some description.
Yes. But all in all,
It's a beautiful little thing. It's not
I was
really.
so pleased you watched it.
So this came out in 2022.
I know.
It's a PG. It's available to stream on Netflix. It's not really a film. It's like one of those. You said like the Fast Show earlier on. It's like one of those snippets, just extended out a little bit. It is. It's really really cute. It's really funny. I mean, it's literally you do chuckle the whole way through it. Charles is so funny
and it's got that sort of lovely British sense of humour all the way through it, but it's really light.
Yeah, and also
endearing.
I much prefer Brian and Charles as a character than Brian in Afterlife as a character. You can't help but love Brian.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's like a magnet, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A bearded magnet.
he is indeed. I'm so pleased.
I gave this film 7.5.
Yes!
Ooh.
It is a must watch. It is really just really cute. You watch it any day of the week. It is just quality.
And we can't make it any better, can we? Really?
No.
There's
Samuel L.
nothing-
Jackson would ruin this movie.
He would.
He
wouldn't
would ruin this movie.
6.7 on IMDb.
Okay, deserves more, I think.
What did it get on IMDb?
6.7.
I just burped. I'm sorry.
Oh, I think you were stopping because you were interrupting me.
No.
We knew you wouldn't do that.
So the guy who plays Eddie,
Yeah.
he is also known for The Snowman, which I think was a horror in 20-something.
Yeah.
He plays one of the teachers.
Right.
He is in Game of Thrones. He plays Stillshanks Walton. I have no clue who that
No,
is.
I have
because
no
I've
idea
never
who
seen
that
Game
is.
of Thrones.
I've watched it. I don't know who that is.
He is also in Somewhere Boy, the TV series, and he's in the Baby Reindeer, which is the one that everyone's talking about on Netflix.
And this is Jamie Mitchie we're talking about.
Yeah. Thanks, I didn't want to say his name. I really recognise him, and that's why I recognised him. And then David Earl has been in quite a few things, actually. So he played Brian in Brian and Charles, Brian in Afterlife. He played
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Brian in Summer Comedy Shorts. And he played Brian in Four Funnies as well.
If you're writing a script and you've got somebody called Brian, we've got somebody for you.
That's
It's
fantastic.
as simple as that.
Yeah.
Wasn't he also in? He was also in the other Ricky Gervais one.
He was
as well.
in Cemetery Junction, which is the Ricky Gervais one.
No, he's in the
I know which one you mean, but in Cemetery Junction, you will never guess who he played.
Brian?
He did! And he was also in Derek, but he didn't play
Derek.
Brian, he played Kev.
Derek.
I think this won some awards, didn't it?
No, it didn't. So it was nominated
Chainsaw.
for a BAFTA,
Oh, it was BAFTA
in
nominated,
2023.
okay,
It was also nominated for 2 British Independent Film Awards, 1 Sundance Film Festival Award, and 1 Casting Directors Guild Award.
Right. So this is called Brian and Charles. It's streaming at the moment. You really rate it. Everybody loves it. You should. We're encouraging people to watch
Oh, this
it.
is an encouraged to watch. Absolutely 100%.
Good.
Yeah, so there we go. So a week where we were concerned, I think all in all has turned out all right. You dragged my Fall Guy score down quite considerably.
Quite considerably.
Which I think it probably deserved to be dragged down a bit. I think I got a bit giddy with
I
that
think
one.
you did. But I like to think that I've bounced back with a fantastic recommendation.
I saw it straight after Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think that's what did it. I knew there was a reason.
There's a balance in there.
It's
I see where you're
much,
coming
much
from.
better than that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Brian and Charles is available on Netflix now, Google Play, Apple TV, and Amazon Prime.
Good.
Yes,
Watch it,
you
watch
pay
it,
for it
watch
on
it.
Prime, so watch it on Netflix
You pay
if
for
you
it on
can.
Prime, Apple, and Google Play, but if you have subscription on Netflix and now it's free.
Correct.
Definitely watch it. And let us know what you think.
Yes, absolutely.
Please. They should make more movies like this, I think. in the world.
How would somebody comment or review a film, James? What would they do that on?
They could DM us through the Instagramus posts.
Mm-hmm.
They can get in contact with us via YouTube, because we've got a YouTube account as well. We've also got a Facebook account.
We do.
And that's the only way they can. And now, if they know us personally, we are encouraging people to get in contact with us via our WhatsApp accounts and sending us a small WhatsApp.
A WhatsApp.
Sending us a small voicemail, perhaps. We love our voicemails. Send us a voicemail. We're getting ahead of ourselves there.
Oh.
So I've got to give you next week's homework.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I thought this was our last podcast.
Oh no. This could end the podcast. This film.
Yeah.
This film might end the podcast. So, last week we had. What was the film I gave you last week? Al Cando.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Really good.
really good. This week you've had Brian and Charles.
Yeah.
And so we've changed direction slightly of the James genre.
We're not going back, are we?
We are delving into. We're delving into a world where there is virtually no blood.
Do you know what this is?
I'm going to tell you. We're delving into a world where there is virtually no blood, okay? There's virtually no violence. I mean, there's virtually no violence at all, okay? No swearing, there's no hitty, and so on and so forth, okay? We are delving into a world that I've been thinking about this film since I streamed it last Tuesday, and I cannot stop thinking about it.
I mean, is this the one that you said is the scariest thing you've ever seen in your entire life ever?
I'm intrigued to find out whether you find it just as scary, okay?
Okay.
And the reason why we're doing this for a very specific reason, for two reasons, okay? Number one is, if you thought The Strangers Chapter 1 was stressy, okay, of a similar genre, but done well, this film is going to beat the pants off it,
Okay.
okay? And the second thing is, this film, although it was made in 2022, and it's a joint Dutch and Danish movie,
Ooh.
okay?
Schmuck and a pancake.
Schmuck. The language that they use together is English. So the majority of this film is in English.
Right.
Okay. However, they're actually remaking this film already after 2 years of being released in English, and it's starring James McAvoy.
Ah, okay.
Fitty.
So this film is called Speak No Evil.
Okay.
You're going to have to go on to Prime. You're going to have to go into Shudder, and you're going to have to do a week's free trial with it.
Wow, you really are testing me out, aren't you?
I'll tell you the reason why this came up on my radar. Number one is Sophie and I have watched every single horror movie on all the streaming platforms, so we're finding the avenues to watch horror movies. And the second thing, we realise that Late Night with the Devil was available on the Shudder, and we thought, we're shit. So we did a double bill. We watched Late Night with the Devil, and then we watched this movie afterwards.
Okay, doke.
Okay?
Yeah.
Seriously, don't split this movie into 2 or 3.
No, that's I literally as soon as you said what it was, I was thinking, right, when am I going to watch it? Because also, if it is a horror with that type of suspense, I'm going to have to watch it in a darkened room.
100%.
So it's not a Sunday morning.
Turn your
film.
phone off. Don't let anybody interrupt you.
Okay, fair enough.
Text me as soon as you finish watching it.
Okay, I'll do that.
There you go. That's Peter's homework. Speak no evil.
Before we go, should we just point out the fact that you put us into a subtitled film last night?
I did.
And I didn't realise until
I pointed
you
out
sat
to you.
down,
Yes.
and then I couldn't unsee the words being written, and,
Yes.
and it was so annoying because
Creaky floorboards. Seriously.
branches snap underfoot.
Yes, exactly.
The audio describers
Yes.
and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it was-
Eerie noise suddenly stopping.
It didn't help. You sound like Charles from Brian and Charles.
Cabbage, cabbage,
What are
cabbage.
you going to see next week apart from Peter's homework?
Oh, that's a very good
Are
question.
you not seeing a certain mystery film that you don't know what you're seeing?
Oh, yes, we're going to see Screen Unseen on Monday night.
Yeah.
And what is that?
Don't know yet.
No, as in, what's the concept of it? Oh my
I can't
god!
believe you two do a radio show together.
There's going to be no producer next week, just to let you know.
A Screen Unseen is
Thank
where
you,
you
Peter.
are basically sold a ticket to the cinema and you don't know what you're going to see.
No.
You just know that it is a soon-to-be released movie, and they're normally of low or decent quality. It's very rarely the top
Oh, no,
blockbusters are coming out.
I disagree. I've found that what they do is before Oscar season, you get all the pre.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
the last one that I saw was Next Goal Wins. So yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
didn't you see it as American Fiction as well? Wasn't that a screen?
Oh
American-
yeah,
yeah, there you
there
go.
we
There
go.
you go.
There we go. So that just proves me wrong.
And we still watched Moonlight
God,
and
this podcast is a real leveler, I tell
yeah,
you.
watched Moonlight, and we also watched the diving movie as well. Dive. It's called Dive. Diving.
But you get clues, don't you?
You do.
Throughout the week.
Yes.
Which
Have we had any clues this week so far?
we haven't yet, but we will include them on our Instagram. So in case you boys need help working out what the film
Oh, are you
is.
suggesting our listeners and viewers could help us out?
Yeah, they're
predicting
much
what
more
film it is?
cleverer than both of you. Yes.
So we're going to be posting the clues for the Screen Unseen.
Yes.
And it's our listeners' and viewers' job to tell us what the film's going to be.
Work out
Good,
what it
I like
is.
it. I like it. And then in a couple of weeks' time, we've got Scream Unseen,
Yes.
which is a horror movie that we haven't seen before, and they're my favourites.
Excellent.
Okay, are we done?
I reckon so.
Are you happy with everything, producer?
Not really. No, you guys have been so mean to me this week. I might not be back next
It was
week.
him.
Anyway,
I'll tell you what, Nikki, you can just do the whole advert.
I'm going home. I'm taking all my stuff with me.
Would you like to pa us out, Peter? Popcorn Pundits.
Podcast.
Week 30.
Thank you very much.
I'm going home.
I don't blame
I like
you.
your pen colour today, by the way.
My pen colour?
Yeah,
It's lavender.
I know. It's very nice.